Some brands just want to be comfortable and inviting and friendly. Other brands want to have a bit of a dynamic feel to them. And all of these words can be reflected in visual elements, basically. In the last years, more and more what we've been doing is developing image worlds for our clients. So custom tailored visual languages, design systems that very much speak to the brands of our clients. And therefore, we do label ourselves as branding studio because a lot of the work we do is develop these image worlds for our clients so that they have image content that very much reflects who they are and where you can recognize the brand. But in a traditional sense, we don't do traditional branding. We don't develop logos or color palettes or branding guidelines, but we very much see the way how brands use image and image content is very much part of branding. So in that sense, it's a bit of a, kind of a funny wordplay.
With the advent of things like stock libraries, and now I think with kind of AI image generators and things like that, I think the generification of imagery has sort of been on an exponential up curve. And quite often you'll see somebody using an image that you've selected for a client. The same image is being used in multiple places, and I think to your point, it doesn't really build a unique visual signature.
We've worked a few times with clients in the past who had exactly that need of being very much used to using stock footage for their website or their media and all these kind of things, and wanted to find something that is much more unique to their brand. Because exactly of that problem that if you use stock footage, there's a good chance somebody else uses the same image. Or in general, if you just use stock footage, your images just look generic. We as humans do still have an inherent interpretation to what we see. An abstract image that we don't know what it is still conveys a message to us. If there's a lot of round shapes, soft surfaces, different colors, we immediately get feelings of comfort and playfulness, and it has specific emotions attached to it. While if I go ahead and it's what you said before, if it's all glowing blue lines and things like that, it's abstract, but it has a reference to technology in our head because of the experience that we have in the past. Or sharp edges are always dangerous, regardless if they are on a knife or an abstract object. It's just that's how we interpret visual languages, and I think that's also a big part of when we develop this process is trying to find a common language for both sides. Some brands just want to be comfortable and inviting and friendly. Other brands want to have a bit of a dynamic feel to them, and all of these words can be reflected in visual elements, basically. When it's about abstract visual languages, I feel it's much more globally unified because it's just human nature that sharp things feel sharp. That goes across borders. For every person on the planet, a sharp thing is sharp. Because I think visual interpretation or visual perception is a very primal instinct. It's something that we do to avoid danger and all these kind of things. I've been saying that in another presentation I did before, that our brain is actually still in a very primal stage because it needs to interpret everything it sees, which makes it so difficult to make abstract images, because our brain doesn't like abstract images because it doesn't know what it is. So it could be dangerous. And very often when in these conversations around abstract visual languages, very often the interpretations are actually towards something dangerous. It could be a tumor, or it could be a disease or something. That's much more often the interpretations that happen than, oh, this is a flower, or this is something nice. So I think there's just something in human nature that we need to be aware of when we make these images. And for some clients, they like BCG, they don't have a physical product. Their product is knowledge and texts and consulting. So they need to have image content that sort of reflects what they do. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense to just go abstract and or use images that are less descriptive. But then on the other hand, if you have a company which has a physical product, we're working with Absolute Vodka for a couple of years now, and we worked with them in the beginning when they rebranded the whole product, and we worked with them how this product could be shown, like how could the pack shot look like. But that's also a huge part of branding, because that pack shot is now everywhere, all over the website. That's how you perceive the product. And if you look at it from a much more visual perspective, it makes it easier to just really create an image that kind of reflects the brand rather than making another bottle pack shot. If you go away for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, work on something, and then present to the client and say, like, hey, this is it, we arrived. Like, no, it's no person with a little bit of responsibility in their company would just say, like, yeah, that's fine, yeah, I accept it.